Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In. On my crackhead update, uh, early this morning, me and my old lady went to the 7-Eleven on Ross Avenue in Peak. And it's a white guy standing out there with a young lady. They standing by the freezer, and she was standing there shivering, crying. So I went into 7-Eleven to pay for the gas. When I came back out, in order to initiate a conversation with me, the guy told me, he said, "Hey man, that's a nice hat." I said, "Yeah man, it's cold out here." I'm looking at the little girl crying. So my old lady got out the car and she asked him, "Where did they sleep last night?" They said they just walked the streets all night and it's cold as hell. So we took them to a motel. My old lady paid for 3 nights for them. And she gave him some spending money. That's the second time she have did that. Me, I hated to help though. I asked the guy how old he was. He said 24 years old. I'm looking at, man, come on, man. You 24. You can get you a job, dude. They begging for workers here in Dallas. That little girl, she gonna be okay while you at work. He's too afraid, I imagine, to go to work. Somebody gonna steal his pretty little girlfriend. But she'll be right there. If it was meant for you, she gonna be there when you get off of work. At least you have some money. You can give her a better life instead of walking the streets. Now I'm looking at the little girl. She probably could go home. Right, she was a young lady, but she's real young. She probably can go home. She just can't take his sorry ass there. And so she chose to be with him than to be with her family. My old lady, she always helping people out. That's the second time she done made that same move. She made the same move in Oak Cliff once. I got to give her a standing ovation. I would have gave him a few dollars and let him go on his way. If the little girl want to stay out there with him in the cold and don't want to go home, that's on her. That's my crackhead update. On this story that I'm fixing to read, it's not for the faint of heart. It's very graphic. So if you have kids present, I'm going to pause a few moments to give you a chance to get the kids out of the room. Because this is graphic content. All right, they should be gone. Here we go, y'all. A former gang member convicted for his role in the brutal murder of 2 Houston teens has been denied parole, according to the Harris County District Attorney's Office. Ignacio Medellin was part of a group that ambushed Jennifer Ertman, 14, and Elizabeth Pena, 16, as they were walking near TC Justice Freeway on June 24, 1993. Medellin was 14 at the time of the killings and had served 27 years of his 40-year sentence, the maximum punishment allowed for a juvenile in the state of Texas. Ignacio Medellin was spared from a death sentence because of his age when he helped 5 other gang members rape, strangle, and stomp Jennifer Ertman and Elizabeth Pena to death on a hot summer night in Houston in 1993. But he should spend every day of the rest of his sentence locked up for everyone's sake. District Attorney Kim Ogg said in a statement. Ertman and Pena were headed home from a party and took a shortcut to make it home by the 11 p.m. curfew the night they were killed. Now, Medellin, I was at the Pulaski unit with him. That's where he's currently housed. Now, it seemed ironic. He's in general population at the Pulaski unit, the home of Texas Death Row, and his brother is in 12 building on death row. His brother's already been executed. Now, Medellin is scheduled for release in June the 29th of 2033. He been served the whole 40-year sentence, and they gotta release him unless he pick up some additional time. Now, you can understand by guys like this why wardens, or say a warden like Wildcat was so hard. He wasn't going to color no inmate. That was his policy and his philosophy. You was tough on the streets. You brutalized people. Now you get here talking about your civil rights and constitutional rights and they bothering you. Nah, he wasn't going for it. He looked at it like this. You was a gangster on the outside, be a gangster on the inside. So he did not babysit no inmates at all. He don't care what happened to you. You own your own. But he give you the opportunity to defend yourself. You could green light any inmate anytime you wanted to. It's cool with him. Now, this guy, I've seen him at Pulaski. I ain't never talked to him. But it's 3 of the co-defendants. They still on death row. They haven't been executed yet. 2 of them already has been executed. Now, if you target someone you don't even know, and these 2 little girls were brutalized. I mean, they stomped them, even after they stabbed them all up, they stomped them, and the little girl begged for her life, according to one of the guys' testimony. She begged for her life. Now, one of the girls had got away, but she heard her friend screaming and hollering for help. She went back to help her. 1 girl against 6 guys. I got to applaud her. At least she had the fortitude to try to help her friend. And they died in the most horrible fashion. I don't know what I would do if that was my daughter and this guy got released. I don't know how I would handle that. I'm not even going to suggest that in a video, but man, that's pitiful. Rest in peace, young ladies. Rest easy. On my next story, I have the Texas Supreme Court berates state controller who initially rejected $2 million compensation for a black man wrongfully imprisoned for killing a police officer. The Texas Supreme Court ruled on Friday, December 18th, that a black man who spent 12 years in prison for a crime he did not commit should receive compensation for his time spent behind bars, and that a state agency overstepped its legal authority and denied him compensation. Alfred Dwayne Brown, 38, was sentenced to death for the 2003 murder of a Houston police officer, but was released from death row in 2015 when the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals tossed out Brown's conviction. In 2013, it was discovered that during Brown's trial, the prosecution did not share with the defense some landline phone records that supported Brown's claim that he was at his girlfriend's house when the shooting took place. On April 3, 2003, Officer Charles Clark was killed while responding to a robbery at a check cashing store in Houston, Texas. Store employee Alfred Jones, 27, was also shot and killed during the robbery, which was described at the time and carried out by 3 black men. Brown and 2 co-defendants were convicted in separate trials in 2004 and 2005, with Gillespie, one of the co-defendants, taking a plea deal in exchange for testimony against the other 2 men. Brown was declared innocent by a judge in May 2019 when prosecution further reviewed the case. Now, I'm dealing with the same situation here in Dallas. In my last video, I spoke with this guy that I assisted in getting out. That's what he's waiting on. He spent 11 years in prison. They owe him $2 million compensation. And the trial court, they ruled the same way in his behalf. Since he wasn't declared actual innocent, he did not receive compensation. Now, we're waiting on this same exact Supreme Court judge who ruled in this case to rule favorably in his case, and he'll be compensated. Now, this guy that I previously discussed, Brown, he lives in Louisiana now, and he got his CDL, and he's a truck driver. But he will receive over $2 million from the state of Texas. Now, my homeboy here, now he's expecting the same, because their case is identical. Just his case occurred in Houston, and my homeboy's case occurred here in Dallas. Now, he went forward with his life. He ain't sitting back just waiting on the money. He got a hell of a good job here, and he's doing okay. You know, but $2 million at least, heal some of the pain and suffering from 11 years in incarceration for being wrongfully convicted. The state of Texas is going to fight you tooth, nail, and claw all the way. They hate to give up the money. But since they came up with the compensation packages for wrongfully convicted inmates, they awarded a lot of money. And most of the wrongful convictions come from right here in Dallas, Texas. A lot of people here in Dallas end up being acquitted for committing an offense, even though they had an attorney and a jury returned the verdict. It's so easy to get a conviction. It's hard in hell to get a guy acquitted. And most attorneys don't put up no hell of a fight because the guy don't have any money to pay him. Now, I don't know what you should do in the first case that I read. I don't know what you should do to a young guy, but under Texas statute at the time, only the longest he could receive in prison was a 40-year sentence. Now, but most of the time they make them do that whole 40, every day of it, with no parole. Now, I got a homeboy, he's been in prison a grand total of 52 years. He caught his case when he was 16 years old. And they still will not give this man parole. Now he's 69 years old. And he just received a 5-year set-off from the Texas Board of Pardons and Parole. Last time I seen him, man, he was in good spirit, for being locked up that long. Most guys been in prison that long, they're in their own world. I guess the same way I was. I done seen so much of the bullshit. You don't even really socialize with other inmates. You surrounded by these guys, but you really don't have anything to do with them. Because majority of the things they're going to go through during their incarceration, you already been there and done that. Now me, how I survived through prison, man, I love to read. Man, I could get a National Geographic and put myself right on the tundra in Alaska, tracking a polar bear. Man, I love to read, man. I expand my horizon by reading. I could escape. I could escape the rigors of a maximum security prison. It get easy the longer you've been incarcerated. Now, a lot of time, wait a minute, y'all excuse me. My old lady concocted this. Man, she tried to cook breakfast this morning. Called herself frying some damn eggs. Man, shit, that egg was hard as a damn brick. I threw that shit in, then she burned the damn skillet up. I threw skillet, eggs, and all away, and I ended up cooking breakfast. Cooking is not her strong point, but she got other strong points. Cooking is not one of them. At least you know how to mix a drink good. As I was saying, I would escape prison by studying and reading all the time. I had all type of literature. I got all type of publications in. A lot of things on the outside, I knew about it. I just had never personally used it, but I knew about it. I had a general idea how it operates. Now, it's a little bit different between reading about it and using it, like going through a self-checkout at a Walmart or a Sam's Club. I never had did that before. Now it just eases smoking a cigarette. There's nothing to it. It's nothing. It's just easy as hell. But it's hell of a complicated when you never dealt with it before. And a lot of guys are released from prison. He's been incarcerated a long time, the same as I was. They don't keep up with technology in prison. A lot of them just do their time. Oh, they institutionalize smart. They're smart inside of institutions. Now take that same smartness and apply it to the outside. Now that's a whole different ball game. These losses are days long when they get out here because a lot of them don't have outside help or no one to coach them through different things on the outside. They don't have no help. So you got to learn on the fly. That's what I did. Man, I had a little kid teach me how to use navigation. I was a kid. I had cell phones in prison. I didn't have no use for using navigation. Hell, I can navigate around a maximum security prison. I know where all the nukes and crannies was. I don't need no fucking Google Maps to show me how to operate at the Eastham unit or the Mark Stiles unit. Hell, I know every spot in the prison. But one day I was in Austin trying to go to a HEB, and I didn't know how to get there. And a little kid showed me how to get to HEB with navigation. I said, well, how do I make it back? He showed me how to just reverse the screen, and you go back, it reversed the route and take you right back where you started from. I said, oh man, this stuff is so simple. But I catch on fast. My comprehension level is high. I can catch on fast and I can follow instructions. You know, I met some older guys in prison. I've spoke on this in another video, a guy named Racehorse from Austin, Texas. He had a PhD. He worked it for the college program. He actually was a college professor while he was an inmate. Man, and this guy didn't want to hear no prison type bullshit. He not interested in it. He makes his money off the college. He done took himself all the way out of prison. Even though he live in prison, he wear the prison whites, but he don't deal with the inmates on a prison level. He don't give you the time of day on none of the prison gossip, and he's not even interested in it. And this guy was hell of a successful when he got released. Now down through the years, I started patting myself after these guys, because these guys know how to handle a prison warden or a prison administrator. Now, I've said once before, I worked in Wildcat's office for about 5 months. So I get to talk to him on a one-to-one basis. I don't never initiate no conversation with him. But just sometimes me and him is in there by ourselves. And he would talk to me. And I'll actually get to see how this man thinks. When no other inmates around, how he actually thinks. So that helped me in later years. So I will learn how to get transferred to a prison. And once I could talk to the senior warden, I could bullshit my way into a hell of a prison job. Then they would be impressed with my academics. They look at, hell, this man had a hell of a disciplinary record, but he still was able to rise above the rest of the inmates. So that helped me out in a lot of situations. He said, well, if an inmate can achieve this, they would overlook the disciplinary. And I always would end up with a hell of a good prison job because I like to deal with the female guards. And one way to deal with the female guards is you got a job where other inmates are not allowed. The only person allowed there is maybe you and another inmate. So you get the chance to talk to the female guards one-on-one without other inmates interrupting or knowing your business. Because if you let those guys know what you're doing, they got a habit of blowing up the spot. Everybody want them a woman. You can't blame them. And some guys don't have money. They know if they win a female guard, their problem is over. It's easy to streak the rest of the way. Even if she don't bring in contraband, she gonna place money on this guy's account. So it's a win-win if you can win a female guard. I gotta let this video go. Y'all follow me over on Patreon. The link will be in the description. That's why I bug out at. And I gotta upload for Patreon today. I thank you for watching. Like and subscribe.